This is the Eyeballer on our changing world. I'll be right back. Stay with me. So let, let us look at some of the things that are happening with BRICS members, friends, and colleagues. So I'm looking at this article here that says Modi, who is the Prime Minister of India, strengthens friendship with Putin. Saudi stands up for Russia against the United States, and Iran fully dumped the United States dollar. Now, if you have been watching and listening to the relationship that the United States is creating with Iran, you can understand why the Iranian people and the government would want to dump the United States dollar. The United States has created so many sanctions and the Iranian people that who would want to do business? Why would the Iranian want to do business and continue to hold on to US dollars, which is weaponized? You know, people don't take too kindly when you're trying to hurt their progress. They're going to move away from you. So the article here is saying that over the past couple of weeks, the Russian president has been meeting with fellow presidents all over the world, hinting at an alliance that might be making Joe Biden shake in his boots. I mean, well, if you're following the articles about Joe Biden, he's already shaking in his boots without Modi and the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, getting together. I mean, Biden has been missing his steps, falling down, you know, calling President Putin his vice president, making all those mistakes. So shaking in his boots is not the problem. Is not a problem caused by Putin or Modi of India. Right. Biden has his own issues going on here. Russia's fellow BRICS members, India, has maintained its friendship with America, rejecting the idea of de-dollarization, which is Putin's whole thing. It was then assumed that the relationship between the two nations is a little rocky. Well, it is rocky. It's a little rocky between America and India for a lot of reasons. And one of them is that America wants to tell the Indian government, the people, how to run their government and who they can be friends with and who they can't be friends with. You're talking about India that has the largest population on the face of the earth, right? A democratic nation. And you're going to tell them that, well, you got to fall in line with the Western ideas on how we do things. You know, we have interests all over the world. If you're not in line, then you can't be our friend. So, there you have problems. So imagine our surprise. This is continuing on what this person is saying. So imagine our surprise when India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi turn up in Moscow, seemingly out of nowhere. That's not how it goes. Hugging his buddy Putin the moment he stepped out of his car. Well, that's okay. Nothing is wrong with that. They are friends. These are powerful leaders. He can hug his buddies. Modi hasn't been to Russia in 5 years. The two were all smiles as they sat down together on a comfortable balcony to have a long chat about Russia and India's friendship. The boys set an ambitious target of 100 billion in trade amongst them by 2030. That's good. That's positive. That visit was positive for Modi to go to Russia. Now, that create jobs for Russians and Indians, improving people's lives, regardless of what others might think. These are positive moves for great countries. When the meeting was over, Putin honored Modi with Russia's highest award, the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle. Lavrov called their friendship a special privileged partnership. His relationship with Modi isn't the only one Putin has strengthened. He also made a spectacle of hanging out with his good friend Kim Jong-un, the supreme leader of North Korea. The man hasn't made any spectacle with hanging out with his buddy. He has a right to hang out with whoever he wants to hang out with. I mean, why does the West think that they have a right to create rules as to who leaders of different nations hang out with? You hang out with who you want to hang out with. You're all leaders. You can't be going around telling people how to run their lives. Saudi Arabia tells the United States and its buddies not to touch Russian assets. So there was a time not long ago when Saudi Arabia could not have said these things because of this unipolar world where America dominates the entire globe. Now you're hearing voices because of BRICS. And these countries have seen the potential that BRICS has, right? And the multipolar voices that are emerging because of the creation of BRICS. Look at India. There was a time that all the West talks about is hunger, disease, famine, and India is not making any progress and they need help. Now, India is a leading voice in decision making because of BRICS. Iran, Ethiopia, all these countries, you are hearing a lot about these countries, their culture, their people, their GDP is going up. They're creating better opportunity for their people. And they're seeing a great future with BRICS. But no, the West doesn't want that. Oh, it's all about threat, and they may have to go to war to contain. I mean, India has this vision of becoming the next China in 2050. But if you look at the facts here, there's no way that India is going to catch up with China. That's number one. Because there's no stopping China now. Because they have started a race and they decide they're not going to finish last. And their method of working with other countries is simpler, it's more effective, it's more respectful, it's more progressive. But what I'm saying here with India, I know India is having problems with China, with based on land up in the Himalayan area there. What I would suggest, in my humble opinion, is that India and China should find a way to solve that problem, particularly India. Work it out. Or you probably might still have your issues, but I would suggest that India work with China, because China can do a lot to help India in their development. Because listen, India, if they if Modi seriously is looking at what's going on with how America and the West is treating China, and they must be contained because of their development and their people are living a higher quality life, they're going to do the same thing to India if India is moving in the direction of China. Right? Because in order to grow, you have to get resources from different parts of the world. And remember now, for India to grow, you'll have to create friendship with China, create, and many, many other countries. So you can gain resources to help build your country. India does not have all the resources that is necessary to be totally self-sufficient over in there. So, yeah. So, as Putin was chilling, as I said, with Modi, Saudi Arabia was warning the G7 against seizing Russia's frozen assets. The country said it will sell off its European debt holding if the G7 does not leave Russia's assets alone. Yeah, you can't be just stealing people's money. You can't do that. Just imagine for a moment that you're putting away money at a bank, and it's for a rainy day. This money is you're putting away is to help your family, you to send your kids to school, for medical emergencies, for in the event you get laid off from work, you have something to fall back on. Things like that. And imagine you go to the bank, and the bank said, "Listen, you can't get this money because based on our rules-based order, you have violated some human rights that we believe you're guilty of. And so we are holding down on your money." Hypothetically, something like that would help. So Saudi Arabia is looking at this thing serious and saying, what happened? This is this leaves a bitter taste in the leadership of the Saudi Arabian people's mouth. And so they are saying, no, you can't just grab people's money like that. It's dangerous. Now we're going to take all our money from Europe. Right? These holdings are worth billions of euros and will definitely trigger a financial crisis if they are sold. The warning was clearly directed at the United States and the United States Kingdom because they are the ones who have been advocating for more and more aggressive measures against Russia, including the seizure of Russian assets. Yeah. So you can see that the Saudi Arabian leadership there, Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, he's the guy who's championing this thing. Because you just can't sit down on your ass and say, well, I ain't going to take any risk. I'm just going to go with the flow. No, this flow has been going on for centuries. And the farmer slave rulers and their generation and the system that they have created. If you decided to not do anything and make changes, you get stuck. And generations upon generations of your people will get stuck. And you're not going anywhere. Yeah. One of the greatest risks that you can take in your life is not to take risk. So, G7 members, France and Japan, are against the seizure. They're against the seizure now. I don't know how committed they are about this because they are all part of the G7, and I don't know if they are trying to wanting to create an image thing to look good. I don't trust these guys. It is no secret that Saudi Arabia's influence on global affairs is extremely strong, and it has only gotten stronger over the past decades. So when it speaks, the United States and the United Kingdom almost always listen. Yeah, because we're talking about 10 years. And that's basically, since the creation of BRICS. And so these Western nations are seeing the full effect. They're not explaining it too well to their people, but it's coming. A lot of these countries that are in the West and America that are sanctioning people because they are not falling in line, they're going to see the effect of BRICS because BRICS is moving away from this nonsense. Also, a state-run oil giants, Saudi Aramco, just started issuing dollar de-dollarization, just started issuing dollar-denominated bonds. Clearly, it is not ready to dish the currency just yet. Of course, things take time to figure this thing out. Putin appears patient about it and has continued hanging out with Mohammed bin Salman al Saud, the ruler of Saudi Arabia, maintaining their long standing friendship. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Another major development in the BRICS is the integration of the national payment systems of Russia and Iran, Mir and Shitab. The governor of the Central Bank of Iran, Mohammad Reza Farzin, happily shared that it is a success. Iran has officially severed all ties with the United States dollar. Yeah, it follows logically. It makes sense. Starting August the 22nd, Shitab card holders will be able to withdraw Russia's rubles from ATMs across Russia, making sure all trades are done in either of the two currencies. Though it is expected that China's yuan might make an appearance eventually. The second phase of the integration will let Russians use their Mir cards for payments in Iran. It is clear that the de-dollarization efforts are taking off despite misleading data from some United States agencies and media about it. Right. So a lot of United States agencies and media are giving a lot of negative reports. Oh, well, this BRICS thing is not going to work out. There are too many countries that have contradictory viewpoints on how BRICS should run. and it's going to fall apart. All this fear mongering. Now, listen, you have the European Union. I'm sure there are disagreements there, but there's a basic foundation that they build on, which, you know, maintain a certain degree of stability between the European Union. And the same thing can happen with BRICS. And the leadership is getting smarter and smarter and smarter every day. And they are dodging the bullets that are being fired by the West. So, the way I see it is that I want to know how you feel about the friendship between India's Prime Minister Modi and Vladimir Putin. Do you think they should be worried about how the West feels? Do you think Modi should try to avoid being friends with Russia or the Russian people? What do you think? This is the eyeballer on our changing world.